Okay, so welcome everyone. We are now live on Facebook as well as on Zoom. And so welcome to the Red Talks featuring Williams from Total Labor. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I'm Stacy Nimmo, and this is our Red Talk series featuring stories of reinvention, entrepreneurialism, and determination. Before I turn this over in just a moment to Shannon and Burke, I just wanted to mention a little bit about Red Wing Ignite. We're an innovation center located right in Red Wing, Minnesota. We work to promote economic development in our area and throughout the region through workforce development and supporting entrepreneurs and small business owners and startups with education, mentoring, and other means of support. And so now I would like you to join me in welcoming Williams, and I will turn this over to Shannon and Burke.
Thanks, Stacy. Super excited to be here this afternoon with all of you that have joined us and are out there in the Facebook world. This is a monthly series that Red Wing Ignite has been running since the late spring of 2020. So last year, as Sam Brown was planning for the Big Turn Music Festival, he came to Red Wing Ignite and talked about wanting to incorporate kind of the new components that would include a potential panel where there could be maybe some education and networking, separate from all the live acts that we have all come to enjoy so much. And so our very first Red Talk was actually February of 2020. We hosted it here at the Red Wing Ignite building on that Saturday afternoon. And we had two panels from kind of the arts and music scene from Red Wing Ignite and from the region, or from Red Wing and the region. And after it was over, we really felt that we were on to something. We felt that it was a platform and a series that we could get behind. We just needed to give ourselves a little time to think about what we wanted to accomplish. And so we kicked the Red Talk series off officially then in May of 2020 with Adam Gettings. So RED stands for Reinvention, Entrepreneurship, and Determination. And our goal is to bring stories of entrepreneurs, business owners, large, small, all different kinds, to you, to the audience, to people that are aware of the efforts of Red Wing Ignite, and to those that aren't. We think there are some really, really amazing stories to tell. And so that is the whole point, for us to highlight their journeys, the good, the bad, the ugly, and to be able to share really their wisdom and their journey to where they're at currently with their businesses. So again, we're really, really excited. We do have a whole archive of Red Talks on the Red Wing Ignite website. Some also saved on our Facebook page, those that we have shown live. Not all of them have been. And I'm excited today to have one of my teammates, Burke Murphy, join us. And so I'm going to turn it over to her to introduce herself.
With you all, bienvenidos a todos. I am happy to be here as the workforce lead for Red Wing Ignite. I joined Ignite 2017, bringing my experience in community and economic development with a focus on education and training and workforce development. And it just feels great to be able to contribute to this conversation. Thank you.
Thanks, Burke. Happy to have you on the panel with us today. So for those of you that maybe haven't attended in the past, it really is very conversational. We're here to learn more about Williams and his journey, and have him share some of that with us, ask him some questions. He can certainly ask us some questions, and then the audience is welcome to engage as well. And we will be chatting. You can chat those questions in, and then we will share them with Williams and just have a conversation. So first of all, Williams' company that we'll learn more about, Total Labor, does clean for Red Wing Ignite. They have been our contractor for a number of months now. Gosh, I bet it's been a year, Williams, or close to a year. I don't know. I know you've had your 1 year celebration, but we forgot to celebrate our 1 year celebration together. So I just wanted everyone to know that we feel very fortunate to have them as the company that is helping to take care of our space. And I can talk a little bit more about that as we go. So let's get started this afternoon. So Williams, tell us, how in the world are you in Red Wing? Has this always been your home, or how did you choose it, or end up here?
Well, I didn't choose it. I came here when I was in the 4th grade with my family. and I didn't want to come. I left everything I knew. I was brought here as a child, and I made the best of it. As time went on, I became more used to it, and now there's a part of me that would like to return to Mexico, where I'm from. That's my ultimate goal for when I'm older. But I love it here. It's a beautiful, small, rural community. The I love the fall. The people of Minnesota are nice. I didn't know that was a thing. Everyone was just so nice. Um, I could do without the winter though, but beyond that, it's great.
So obviously you were a student, you were going to school, and at some point you're done with school. And then tell us a little bit about your journey. Like, what happened next? Where did you go? What did you do? What kind of work did you do or experiences you had? We're really curious to figure out how you went from being a student to where you are right now this very minute.
Well, as I entered high school, I became a more serious student, and I started some college. But as an immigrant, I had to stop to earn money to help my family. So I worked at BIC for 3 years. When I accepted a part-time position as the admin assistant at Hispanic Outreach. For those who don't know, Hispanic Outreach is a local nonprofit organization who helps Red Wing immigrants find resources and navigate the system. Um, in a little over a year, I got a promotion and became a full-time employee, working as the program and services coordinator. Um, then my title changed, and I never liked the services associate or something. I felt like I worked at Walmart. Anyway, there I learned many things, and I met many people. I was a problem solver, very well connected in the community. So when I set out to start my business, I knew to surround myself with smart people who could help me.
I want to just offer that Williams, when I moved here in 2017, I met you and Lucy and Hispanic Outreach, and your organization was really an important part of helping me feel at home here in Red Wing, because I had recently returned from living and working in Mexico. And so you were the beginning part of my community here in Red Wing.
I'm glad to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
I know, Burke, you and I talked a little bit about how we see Hispanic Outreach in our community as a real anchor institution. And I think, Williams, it's interesting to hear. I mean, do you feel that you are exposed to people through that experience, through your job, that helped you along this pathway? For others that might be looking for connections in the community, I just think it's a great example of an organization that plays such an important role, especially for the Hispanic community.
Could you repeat the first part of the question? I didn't hear you very well.
I was just saying that, Burke and I talked about how important Hispanic Outreach is. And so just as an anchor institution in our community, so kind of how you see your time there or people you met there, how they went on to support this journey, or those contacts or those resources, how that ended up helping you.
Well, I learned a great deal about customer service and professionalism. I loved the chance to help others. It was a privilege, really, to be able to help. In many ways, it was like working as a social worker. It taught me a lot about the immigrant community and the professionals who work in Red Wing, such as the police chief and just, I don't know the new mayor, but the old mayor I knew. I was doing advocacy work for immigrants and not let them be taken advantage of, help them solve their problems of being in this country and navigating the system. So it was through Hispanic Outreach that I met a lot of people, and it also helped to be personable too. So that I kind of stuck with those relationships for longer, and I just still run into some people downtown at Mandy's or at the Fair Trade Books, and I say hi.
That's great. Well, how did you go from there to considering opening up a cleaning business, Williams?
Well, my mom and I had been cleaning for a company, for a different company for years, and I wanted to eliminate the middleman and earn a wage for meticulous work. I believe I do. So in order to be legit, I registered my business and started submitting bids. Thankfully, I found steady work, and I've been able to supplement my income and help my family. And plus, I genuinely enjoy cleaning, so I thought if I'm going to business, might as well enjoy it. I do like to be tidy and making upkeeping something, and I do like that attention to detail and stuff like that. So that's how I just went from doing something unrelated to. I didn't even know I was an entrepreneur. I didn't consider myself an entrepreneur ever.
That's one of the greatest things I think that this series and other programming that Red Wing Ignite tries to engage folks in does, is because often people don't consider themselves entrepreneurs. They may consider themselves a business owner, but it still is an amazing journey. You take a lot of risks, you build a lot of connections and social capital, and you go after a dream, and sometimes it works well, and sometimes you pivot and go in a different direction, but you absolutely are an entrepreneur, and it's been really fun to watch your journey. Do you mind sharing about how you came to know Ignite? How did you ever know that we existed, or how did you meet Berg?
Well, everything through Hispanic Outreach, of course. I knew Ignite before I was really aware of what it was. I just a place where we had meetings, because it's that community place. But then as I got to um, know more about the mission and how it connects people, and I'm not sure who I emailed. It was probably the executive director at the time that really helped me with the resources to start the business. So I knew it existed, but I didn't know exactly what Roving Ignite did, or how it, what it was for, or that it could help me, because I wasn't even thinking of starting a business when I knew about Roving Ignite. So when I decided to start a business, I knew exactly where to go.
I think I made the introduction for you to Neela Molgard, and then you worked with Neela. And initially, you were interested in forensic cleanup.
Yeah,
You
crime
remember?
scene cleanup. Yeah, yeah. I was interested in crime scene cleanup.
Crime
Uh,
scene cleanup. Well, fortunately, we don't have too many bloody crime scenes here. The
yeah,
demand is low. The demand is low, and I think you picked the better
yeah. No,
option.
it was also Reveling Ignite, and um, through you as the team that helped me decide if I was going to do it and how many resources were available and how to go about that. I don't want to transport a bloody mattress in my truck and look awfully suspicious, right? So can't just dump it anywhere. So I mean, I'm a lot better with office cleaning.
Uh-huh.
That's awesome.
Are
So
there barriers to people like yourself who are sort of relatively new to the community, maybe not mainstream, to find resources as a person with an idea, a desire to open a business?
It wasn't difficult for me to find resources, but maybe because I was already in the business of finding resources
Yeah,
when
yeah.
there weren't, where they weren't so apparent. Um, and I knew where, like I said earlier, I know exactly where to go. So no, it wasn't a very tough challenge, thankfully.
Good.
what most surprised you when you thought, oh, okay, I'm going to start a business? Was there anything that kind of surprised you in that journey?
Yeah, how easy it was. That was a surprising part. I thought it was just this convoluted process and very complex, and no, it was basically fill out an application and send $35 to the state and choose your name, and there you go. I mean, the probably the part that took a bit more work was getting my tax ID. That was probably just more work. I mean, without Red Wing Ignite, tell me about the SB
SBDC.
SBDC. Yeah, I mean, with my mentor Mark, he helped me. He told me exactly where to go and how to file it. I mean, without that, that's why it was easy. Otherwise, I would have taken a lot longer to find the route myself.
Mhm.
It's a great example of the partnerships, that you reference as you built and made, and that you're a connector and a collaborator through Hispanic Outreach. And one of our main goals in our daily work here at Red Wing Ignite is simply connecting. And the SBDC is an important partner of ours. So it's great to hear you use that illustration of, you got that referral and then the next person kind of helped you along the next step. And then it's just a process really of creating your own kind of cheerleading community to move you along, what comes next, what comes next. And I think it's very encouraging that you said, it wasn't awful. Probably there's a difference in opening a restaurant or maybe even in transporting bloody mattresses than what you're doing now. But still, I think a lot of times people are just really overwhelmed by the idea and think it's probably very complicated
Yeah.
or very expensive. And so it's really refreshing to hear your take on what that process was like.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I had no idea what it would be, and there was nothing stopping me. It was a different thing because it's not like the idea was brewing for a long time. It was just more of a, oh, let's just do it.
So once you got your business established, you had those kind of legal things in place. How did you go about finding your first client?
Um, Again, through knowing people or people have knowing me and casually mentioning it. I think there is quite a demand for cleaning in and especially with more of a local business instead of somewhere from the cities. So my first client was the food shelf, the Reverend food shelf, and so I knew Peggy, right, and I knew all the people there through Hispanic Outreach too. So it was more of a. Sometimes it's not what you know, but who you know. Yeah. So same way with you with Reverend Ignite. We knew each other, and I was working with Elaine O'Keefe at the time, right? She's just wonderful, and I, as shy as I'm not shy. I'm introverted. So as shy as I am, I still went for it, and here I am with more businesses that need cleaning and that appreciate the quality of cleaning that we can provide.
Can I ask you a question? Uh, How did you choose the name of your company, Total Labor?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
How did you choose the name of your company to be Total Labor?
Well, the story with a name is that I didn't want to be cliche and put my last name. I didn't want to be like ORTIZ cleaning or ARIZMENDI cleaning, or I didn't want to be cliche. And I wanted a name that could be pronounceable in Spanish as well. And also when I set out to do this, I wanted to do everything. So my dad is more or less a handyman, so I wanted to do that type of stuff also, work with him like in the business, but I could never get him um, the license, the contractor license. That was a challenge. That was a tough thing that never got completed, so he never came in on board. um, but I wanted to do like stove windows or do handyman work as well as cleaning. So it was two different things that the same company would do. So I thought total labor. That's how I came up with that.
And you would, in Spanish, you would say trabajo total?
Yeah, but the word total is total and the word labor is labor. So I wanted something
Labor.
that could be pronounced in both. Yep.
Okay, muy bien.
Do you still hope to expand like you just described, Williams? Would you still like to see that total part added to your commercial cleaning sign?
Not really, because I don't know that part myself. I can't do it, and so I would be dependent on my dad, and so um, I don't think I would do that. What I know is cleaning. I've been doing for many years, and I would like to just specialize on one thing. So I'm just gonna, staying with a name though.
One of our participants is asking what you enjoy most about your business.
What I enjoy most about my business,
Mhm.
um, I guess having something that's mine as I get to, new business owner. So when I receive mail that says total labor or something like that, I just get a smile.
Especially checks.
Oh, mostly checks, yes, of course, yeah. But just to have something that's like it's my baby. It sounds weird, but something that's mine and I started and I'm running the whole thing. It's just I don't know. It feels really good. So I do enjoy that. All the aspects of the business.
Yeah, it doesn't sound dumb at all. As a fellow business owner, there is a tremendous sense of pride that you gave life to something that didn't exist before, and that it won't
I
always be a smooth or obvious road, but it's a lot to be proud of. So
Yeah,
that was a great answer.
yeah, thank you.
So ideal client, who is your ideal client? If you could have, 24 of the perfect clients, what would those look like for Total Labor?
Well, someone who values cleanliness, and my commitment to discretion about the owner's privacy, and my, of course, because my business is reliable, and I'm thankful when an owner will tell me how much they can count on me. So that is the ideal client who's looking for um, high quality work and customer service too, because I do pride myself in that. So that would be an ideal client.
We have someone asking about your kind of service area. Are you just working in the Red Wing area, or are you also servicing kind of local communities around here?
Yeah, local communities. We do have some buildings in Hastings, so that's the furthest that we've gone. But we're open to Lake City, Ellsworth, um, Goodhue, whatever city is around that I am blanking at right now. But
Mhm.
just in the general area, the rural area.
And you are accepting new clients currently.
But yes, yes.
What you just shared about your ideal client, I just wanted to comment on. We've had other companies clean our portion of this building over the years, and I have to say that Williams has been very easy to work with. Pre-COVID, we would often have in special events or certain meetings that would happen in the building, and ideally, I don't want to have to be stuck with that regular day and time of cleaning. So if my cleaning day with Total Labor is Thursday evenings typically, but if I had a big meeting on a Tuesday and I shoot Williams a note and say, hey, is there any chance we can do Tuesday night or Wednesday? They've just been tremendous. They're very flexible, and the attention to detail is significant. Our sink is only clean after they're here, not after the rest of us have used it the rest of the week. So I certainly, and I'm sure there are others that would be happy to do testimonials if any of you out there listening think that Total Labor might be the right fit for you. They've been really, really good and easy to work with, and we appreciate the attention to detail and the commitment that they bring to our building each week.
Oh, well, thank you for that. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So a common theme in these talks in 2020, of course, has been COVID. So tell us what, if at all, COVID did to impact, change, alter your business?
Um, I don't know if it's the direct cost. It must be, but the business was born in November 2019, and then um, everything went south in March. So when I started developing the business is when lockdown was happening. So thank goodness I had secured a good number of clients by then. So I stayed, but some hours were lower because people weren't in the business. So I can't bid to churches as much because they don't have as many people, or banks when they were closed. Something. So it did, I think, limit the potential or people who were looking for cleaning because of their lobby areas not being open, not being used. But on the same, or on the other hand, rather, because of COVID, I did have a bit more demand for cleaning in the businesses that I already had because of the extra precaution for service surfaces and the like, so light switches and doorknobs, and even one added an extra night just to be safe. So it was good and bad.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure there was an impact. And we quite frankly were one of those accounts. When you shut down your building and there's no one in it, it's hard for obviously for companies to continue to justify that expense. But it's a great example of Williams was, willing to hang in there with us and work with us. And we were able to get through that chapter, and we were grateful for their flexibility and their professionalism.
Thank you.
So if someone, I know one of the things we talked about getting ready for this discussion was just the process where someone is interested in having you come and clean. So that what happens next? How do they get started with total labor?
Um, well, usually the way I'm contacted is I personally prefer email. That way I can answer it sooner, quicker than phone. Just I do have a day job, so I can't really be on the phone. So email would be, and then we'll set a time to come look at the building and see what needs to be done and the frequency. Um, and then I would submit a bid, and the rest is just paperwork. I guess it's just an agreement. It's not a contract. There's nothing, like you said, Shannon, with flexibility. So we don't have to be there the same day. It does help for scheduling, but I mean, it you don't have to. We can do more hours. We can do fewer hours. We can do different days. We can do 2 days. It doesn't matter. We try to be there for customers whenever they need it clean.
So one of the things we talked about also was your competition. So sometimes you come in and you bid a project, and then maybe one of your competitors comes in and bids it, and they underbid you, maybe by a lot. And I think it really stuck with me when you talked about that. You know what it takes to do a job well and to do it efficiently and effectively, and you're not gonna undercut what you stand for in order to take a job and make less money. So is there just anything you want to comment about that? Because I think it's significant and it says a lot about what your company stands for and your character.
Oh yeah, well, thank you. It was difficult. Well, I should have said that. That was the difficult part, and that's what has kept me up at night. The finding the right uh, price, something that is that I'm respecting myself and for my work, and something that doesn't feel like I'm overcharging just for for fun or whatever. Um, so that was one of the most difficult parts. My Mark from the SBDC, he gave me a number that said I was the um, average, I guess, for the area. The food shelf called it reasonable. Um, And I've asked a number of, I have a lot of people that I know of, when they have had cleaning, how much they pay, and it's usually that same amount. So I feel good about that, and I will stay with that, because I do consider it fair as well, and with, for what cleaning goes. But yeah, it is a little bit, I don't want to say discouraging, but it feels bad to be underbid, when I know that I'm going to do a great job. Not to just toot my own horn, right? But I know I'm going to do a great job, and so if someone is going for even half of what I bid, I makes me wonder: are they even paying taxes? Or, I mean, if after taxes, what are they going to get? So and I mean, you go to business to make a profit. So, I mean, it doesn't make sense. Um, so I don't want to ramble on anymore, but that's the uh, long
Uh,
answer.
I think Burke had something to add.
Yeah, in terms of the marketplace, where do you draw the line as what is a commercial customer versus industrial or residential? How do you figure that out? Because there's so many manufacturing companies here. Um, I just wonder if you're open to all the businesses here, or are you defining a certain market?
No, I'm open to all the businesses, from a dentist office to a church, a bank, and office space, and then with manufacturing too. Usually in manufacturing is just the office that needs cleaning, not really
Right,
the production area, unless
right.
there's like a bathroom to clean in there. But we do have that places that have we've had to clean 8 bathrooms in one and 11 bathrooms in the other, but it's just the bathrooms. In the production area, we don't really,
I see.
we've never been asked to clean the floor of a production area. That sounds more of a
Industrial.
big, yeah, industrial, like big tier in equipment and things like that, which we don't have. I mean,
Sure,
I have a
sure.
little duster, a Swiffer duster. I don't have a big.
Not yet, not till you're great, big, and famous.
Say that again.
I said you may not have that yet, but pretty soon you'll be big and famous, and you'll have all those stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
A follow-up to that, because you have positive reviews and good feedback, of course, everyone wants you to come and clean their personal bathroom. So I know I'm not the only one that's asked about residential cleaning, but do you have any interest at all or see your company expanding into that side of the business down the road?
No, we started total labor, and my truck still has it. It says commercial and residential, but after a few months of trying that, it did not work well. For the reasons that it's a lower bid usually, and it takes longer if you have, a lot of things in your dresser and you want to dust it, and you have to put everything aside and then clean it and put everything back, and nobody likes when their things are moved. So instead of trying to go around things, which is totally impossible, we just thought that house cleaning wasn't for us. And so when we have a building, an empty office at night, we can play music. We can have, or we have a bit more flexibility of, we can go at 8 or we can go at midnight if we want to. Something like, with that, with a commercial place, it's better than showing up at midnight at your house.
Yeah, that's
So
not going to go over real well, but I was fascinated that you could say that without ever even seeing how much stuff I have. So you must have the inside of where I live. Anyway, that was fun. Okay, so one of the things we talked a little bit about is how you feel if you feel connected to the community in general, and do you feel connected to the business community?
I do feel connected to the community in general, far more than the business community. I, again, with my time at Hispanic Outreach, I met everyone and their brothers. So I do can walk into the library and say hi to Randy and say hi to Megan and go to Mandy's and I know a lot of people, so I do feel connected that I can go to the bookstore and greet people and find friends. Um, so in that sense, I feel connected, and then I'm also a member of the Masonic Lodge, so there's a bunch of people that I would know from all walks of life, and so that part I do feel strongly connected. The business community, um, and it's also my fault because I'm very introverted, so I'm not really up for a small talk. How's the weather? Well, it's crappy today. I'm like, oh, we'll go figure. That's not something that I would usually engage in, and so to networking is important, and it's good for people and for businesses, but I have had the opportunity thanks to well, Elaine O'Keefe was the one who introduced me to the networking group of uh,
Venture networkers.
Venture Networks. Thank you, the Venture Networkers, and I would be a sub for her, and then Shelly Orr also asked me to be a sub there, and so I got to pitch my business as well, and I went to the casino to some sort of Chamber of Commerce gala prize giving away thing they had.
Yep.
And that was interesting. And I was accompanied by one of the venture networkers to talk to people, almost by the hand. Otherwise, I wouldn't have mingled at all. So I knew some people there, and they have businesses, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's a strong connection to the business community. But that was a long answer.
Do you, no, it's great. Do you want that? Like, do you think, and I know you talked about it, it's important, but would you like to feel more connected just to other fellow business owners?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm always seeking connections and how can I say? Yeah, I'm
Yeah, we
always
talked a
seeking.
little,
Huh?
yeah, we talked a little bit about that and about, the role that the chamber plays and some of the other groups. Because, again, even having a side conversation, maybe not about the weather, with one person, you just never know, where their circle leads. So I'll keep
I know.
pushing you a little towards that. And I bet Elaine will do that too.
Well,
Yeah, you never know when something is gonna come from. It's unexpected, and if you're not looking for it, it usually comes up quicker than when you are.
That's right.
and we have a new director of the Red Wing Area Chamber of Commerce after many years of Patty Brown being in the lead. And the new director is from Lake City, which would also expand your geographic footprint. I'm sure she would network if you were a new member of the chamber. I'm impressed with the events that I attend, that the roundtables and the tours of companies, and if that would work with your day schedule. The meetings are often very early in the morning, 7:30 to 8:30 or 8 to 9 a.m. It's tell you the truth, the chambers had a very strong role in the community work that I did in Mexico. So it is in alignment culturally in terms of how you connect up with businesses, both in Mexico and here. The Chamber of Commerce creates this opportunity for association that I find is pretty supportive here.
Yeah. I don't know the new director. I knew Patty Brown, but I don't know the new director. I have heard of her, being with the chamber in Lake City, and I know that the chamber does provide a lot of benefits. Even if you're not there in person, you can still put your blurb out in the newsletter and
Right.
things like that. Yeah, I know that Hispanic Outreach is a member, and so you get your perks. I haven't decided yet or considered that too much. I guess I would like to probably learn more, but it would be at a later time that I would, go to them and to learn more. I'm not the person who goes online to read more about something. I usually ask someone. I like the person to person thing. So,
Well, one of the reasons that I would be happy that you at some point hook up with the chamber is because we don't have a very diverse or integrated business community, and I'm proud of the fact that you bring Hispanic heritage to the business community. And in fact, I wonder, how could we better encourage Black and Indian and people of color to become entrepreneurs and start businesses here in Red Wing?
I don't have the answer for that. I don't know exactly how you would encourage. I don't often think of myself as in that, or see myself in that lens of someone of color, even though I'm very brown. I don't see myself that way of thinking. Oh, what's opportunity um for immigrants or something like that. I just say if it's an opportunity that's there, if I'm interested, I'll go for it. So there wasn't an outreach for someone who told me, "Do you want to start a business?" It was just my own idea. And through Hispanic Outreach, I knew it. So I guess just getting your name out there more, or if you have partnerships to partner with Hispanic Outreach to gonna get people who are interested in having a business. I know of more Hispanic people who want to start a business, and I've helped at least a couple with how I did it. I wasn't there like Mark was with me, but just to say that this is what's available. There is a business development office in the cities as well, and they speak Spanish because that's a
Yes,
barrier.
yes.
But
LED, Latin Economic Development Organization. Yeah,
yeah.
and I know them. Well, the thing is that from your story, it sounded like you really had a comfort zone because you had already created the foundation of community. And through the work you did with Hispanic Outreach, you were more and more grounded in the community that you knew and that you were serving. And so I can understand you're saying, gee, I didn't feel like an outsider to what was going on here professionally.
Yeah.
And which is good news. I'm happy to hear that. But I think that there is not much visibility of entrepreneurs of color here in
Oh,
the
well,
county.
no, it's rural Minnesota. You don't have a lot of visibility of anything really. That's not Scandinavian, So
Way to say it. That is true, true, true.
yeah,
Well said.
Yeah.
So I do sincerely appreciate the effort or that outreach that the bigger population. So the um let's just call it the white population has to, or progressive, people have to, including more, just want to see more of that. Many things might have to change, because if you want that yourself, that doesn't mean that everyone else that they need to go through will see in the same way. But if you're there to help, I mean, then great. Like I felt a lot of help, and with Red Wing Ignite and with Mark, and he's been just awesome. And so I don't feel any different. I don't think he sees me any different, and so that's very refreshing. I don't want to.
Yes.
My friend did have. We went to a job fair in the cities for people of color, and it was just for people of color. Like everyone who was there, they wanted for people, and it, to me, on a personal level, just feels different. It feels weird, really. Um, because you wouldn't do that for anybody else. I would think, there's no Indian job fair, or there's no,
Yeah.
maybe for Native Americans. but you never know. So I just don't like that LNH, that separation. I
Right.
personally don't. If I'm interested, I'm gonna do it regardless of who it's marketed for.
Well, I think that because there has been so much exclusion, there really is a heightened investment in being intentional and inclusive. And
Oh, yeah.
so, yeah, not
It
not
works for
to,
many. Yeah.
pardon me?
I'm sorry. I just said it might work for many. This is just my
Right,
opinion.
right.
For those people that may be watching and not on the Zoom webinar, because it's in the chat, the Small Business Development Center does have a Spanish-speaking consultant that people can be referred to who maybe
Oh,
don't speak English or don't speak it fluently or intimidated by trying to speak English. So the SBDC, which is certainly a resource that you spoke highly of, Williams, does have that Spanish-speaking resource, as well as a range of things that Red Wing Ignite. We would do our very best to get you connected. We aren't always the answer. We don't have all the answers, but we often can reach out to someone who we think might be able to kind of move you along that roadmap on your business trajectory. So a lot of resources in the community. So Williams, do you think that you had any barriers related to being a person who is a minority in the community, or that your barriers were just general how to get your business started barriers?
well, I've never woken up white, so I don't know what it is to not have any, to have a life that's different. And I haven't seen anyone who wanted to start a business next to me who had it easier. So I don't know how my problems come from being a minority and how my problems are just general. I typically don't think if someone is being to me that they're racist. I think they're just unhappy and having a bad day. Instead of thinking anything in any other context. So I don't think I have barriers. No, I don't think I had any barriers. If somebody, I think Lucy's watching. So Lucy, if you can think something that would have barrier with, do put it into the comments, because I can't think of something. And she knows that I don't think of the answer right away. And then when she points it out, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. So let's wait and see if she says anything.
I think it's great that you give the people having a bad day the benefit of the doubt. That's a lovely gesture. That says a lot about you as a person.
Yes.
It does. I think some of Burke's conversation and our dialogue and some of the questions that we're having, I think certainly some of the increased maybe awareness that many of us received in 2020 with all the difficulty is, like you were saying, that job fair just felt odd. Like, why would you do that? It's strange. So I think for a lot of us, we're just trying to figure out how to do better, how to be better, how to be more inclusive, how to be more
Yeah.
pointed in our efforts and in our support, because often who comes in through the door in the regular channels to receive the support that we offer is the Scandinavians. Are the white people in the region, if you will. So, I think we're all kind of stumbling our way through this. We want to be better. We want to do better. And our community is so much stronger because of everyone who's in it. So your comments and Burke's questions just help us to continue to have this dialogue. We're nowhere where we need to be. And like you say, other people, other Hispanic friends or colleagues that are interested in starting a business, and we would love to meet them. But sometimes our outreach methods aren't going to reach them, or they have reason to not engage. And so we're just always trying to understand how we can do a better job of the work we've been tasked to do.
No, and I really applaud the effort or the going the extra mile to include everyone, because there's something that I think that it's not so much. Well, I think it's more of lack of awareness or lack of just being exposed to how other people live, or to assume, let's say, Sunday best. When you put on your Sunday best, that means maybe you grew up Christian and you go to church. Well, so maybe someone is not Christian, and they don't know what Sunday best means, or I don't eat meat, for example, any meat. So if I'm offered a hot dog and I say no, thank you, I don't eat meat, they just think I'm just crazy, or you're missing out on this. And it's 4th of July. I'm Mexican, so 4th of July is just another really hot day. So I mean, it's just nothing that. Well, it's just lack of awareness that there's people that have different experiences, and I don't know everyone's experiences either. It's just so there's something that we're guilty of that we don't even know. So it's a very complicated issue. But
I love the hot dog example. I will always remember, I don't know where we were or why we had this conversation, but it was actually Maureen Nelson, who runs the local United Way. She and I were talking about, I think under the context of poverty, but how if many of us were going to go to a luncheon, let's say we were going to go to the chamber luncheon at the hotel, we would sit down at our table and we would visit with the people on each side of us, and then they would the servers would bring out our food and they would set down everybody's plate. And most of us, I think, many of us would wait till all 8 plates were set down before we took our first bite. It's something maybe we learned as children, maybe we thought it modeled for us. But she gave me an example once of a young woman that she was, I don't know, she was at the table with her. I don't know if she worked with her or how she knew her, but that woman grew up not having anything, being hungry, probably coming from a poverty environment and maybe other things. And no one ever taught her that. And her concept of food is, OMG, when will I see the food the next time? Even if that wasn't her current reality. And so for her to go down and start eating and everyone at the table to be like, oh my gosh, what's with Susie over there, eating right away. I think the lessons are so important, and we're so busy and we're very cut up and all of our to-do lists are long. And so I think this period of time and where we're having to connect this way, which we're very grateful for, this technology, but just being present and with one another. And that's why I think there's such tremendous value in the connectedness at the business community level. You have a ton to offer and teach other business owners as well as just people, and vice versa. And so I think any way we can cultivate that community where even if it's you and someone else having a cup of coffee in the back of the room because you're both introverts, there's just some lessons and some experience that we get from those interactions that you can't create any other way. No different than this time we've had together this afternoon. I would like to think everyone on this call is not the same, they're not the same people they were at 4, that they'll be at 5 because you let them in and shared your story. And I will use the hot dog example all day long because I just really enjoy it. We had an intern last summer, a delightful young woman who happens to be Hispanic. And as we were talking about the calendar, like, oh, well, we for sure aren't going to work this day because of the 4th of July. She's like, yeah, I don't ever think about it because it's just another hot day. So, we are very assimilated to the world being the color that we have seen it. And speaking only for myself, the lesson of 2020 certainly was, you are really missing out. It is a very small percent. And I consider myself tolerant and open and kind and, not judgmental and, certainly not a racist at all. But I think there were incredible lessons. And these discussions like we're having with you, Williams, and why you're important to us because you're a business owner, but your perspective of the role you play in our community is of utmost importance to us as we keep learning about how to be better and do better. So I'm grateful for you being willing to have the conversations. Some of the topics, are harder to talk about, and I hope that we'll get to continue doing it and that you'll have communication with others in the business community that maybe haven't met you or haven't known you at this level. And I'm going to be quiet. Bert?
Well, I'm just noticing Lucy's question, and I want to share it because you called out to her, Williams, and she said that she saw that one barrier that you might have had at the beginning was starting your business was how to navigate finances. And I know from friends of mine who are leaders in working with African Americans wanting to start up businesses that quite often the terms of doing business with the banks are foreign to many of our entrepreneurs of color, and there's a different standard of access and entry that's very challenging and actually racist. And so if you could just say something about how you manage to navigate the finances, that would be great.
Right. Thank you, Lucy. Yeah, the finances.
Takes a village.
There you go. See, I'm missing something. Yeah. Yeah, we didn't work together for 4 years for nothing, right? So the finances were a difficult subject because my financial advisor is my mom. And so when I finally grew up and decided to move out, and I had to learn about meal planning, like I'd never heard about that. I run out of water in my house constantly. Like my mom never ran out of water. So this just adulting is quite difficult. And so when you have a business
Yeah.
and then the finances and keep your receipts, and Lucy always kept her receipts, and I'm like, why all the receipts? And then there's this thing about reconciliation. I thought it was about divorces and stuff, but
To
turns out
reconcile the books.
There was no
yeah, I have
priest
to check
involved in
every
keeping your
time,
business
like
receipts.
what you
No
spent.
priest
So,
involved.
huh?
No priest involved in keeping your business receipts. That's a totally separate thing.
Yeah. So, my resolution for 2021 was to keep my receipts. And I overcame that, thankfully, because I associated myself with smart people who can help. So my friend who I was mentioning earlier, Jane Lorenzen, she's been just amazingly just wonderful in helping me through that, because you're not expected to know these things when you come out of high school. They don't tell you that. I mean, I know about um, parentheses, exponents, and multiplication and whatever, but then I don't know about percentage of tax, and about how much I can pay myself, and how much I should be saving, and all these things. I have no idea. So so thankfully I'm not lost because of that. But yes, that was a very, very big challenge that I somehow did not think of.
Well, you're not alone in that challenge. And I can tell you that I was able to rely on my mother's wisdom, and she would say, we're all only as good as our support system. And it
Yeah.
sounds like you have a good one.
And that's another thing that with cultural difference, or with being an immigrant, is that I could not count on my parents because my parents didn't know. So I couldn't ask these questions to my mom or my dad. They had
Sure.
no clue. So, and I think that's true for a lot of us in the
Yes.
same situation.
Yes.
Because if you have my other peers in high school, their parents had graduated, college, and they were a banker, or they were a doctor, or they were something, and my dad worked at a farm, and my mom just worked in the house. So there was no support system in place. I had to build it myself. So that was the big difference.
Good on you for that.
Well, we are at our time, and we want to be respectful of your time, especially Williams. There's several comments in the chat from people who attended who really enjoyed your story, and Lucy misses how funny you are. And Elaine really enjoyed the presentation. So we're very grateful for you being willing, because it probably wasn't maybe your favorite thing to do. And I just have to tell you that, in 2005, I started a business with a wing and a prayer and a credit card. And Mark Stein tried to help me, and how many years it's been, I still can't tell you what a profit and loss is supposed to tell us. I can push the button, and I can take it to my accountant, and then I just sit there and hold my breath and hope that the right thing comes out. But
Yeah.
we all have strengths and weaknesses, but we all contribute to a significant and important business community, and you as much as the next person. So we're grateful for your time and for your expertise and what you bring to Red Wing and the surrounding communities with your company, Total Labor. And I hope there's tremendous success for it, growth and success in the years to come, to whatever degree you are willing. So I just want to thank everyone and let them know that this is a regular series. We'll be doing it again in February, and we'll be hosting Seavers Creative. at our February Red Talk. We've got a whole list of resources at redwingignite.org. We've got a great celebration event Thursday afternoon from 4 to 6 with our E1 partners, and 6 regional entrepreneurs will be highlighting. We're here to be helpful in any way we can. And if we can't, we'll try to get to the next person who can. So thank you so, so much, all of you, and especially you, Williams, for sharing today. And we appreciate it and hope we'll see you again next time for one of our Red Talks.
Oh, thank you very much for inviting me. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Williams.
Bye.
Adios.
Bye. Adios.
Adios.